now listening to the IndieEye Film Awards podcast.
Welcome to the IndieEye Film Awards podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Dre.
And we are here to talk about December's winners and some submissions to our online monthly film festival.
The last of the year.
This is it. This is the month. And you know what? It's twice the work. And in some ways, it's multiple times the work because of some things we're going to talk about. But happy to be here. Happy to do this.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year to all the peeps.
And shout out to all of you who have participated in IndieEye Film Awards this year, our first year.
Yeah.
And we've had so much engagement and positive interactions, and it looks like we've had an impact with others and given them something to celebrate and motivation, and it feels great to be a part, a small part in the journey of people who are otherwise strangers to us, but we get to see them move on and have success.
Yeah, I certainly did not expect this to be what happened from your 5:45 in the morning business venture idea.
Well,
you're like, I need a logo. And I'm like, what are we doing? And clearly this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
And I wasn't sure if we'd get any submissions for December. Having not been through this before, I don't know what the seasonal differences are with submissions and things like that.
Well, we found out that it's smaller. It's a smaller
I think
submission.
probably in the late fall it does go that way, at least for us. People may just not want to hear us talk about their movie. They may be like, their podcast sucks.
Well, I feel like everybody's busy around this time of year, so it's all good.
Including us. And we need to tell you...
Which is why we're really glad that December was a small submission month.
That's true.
TBH.
In all fairness, we set the deadline way earlier than we normally do.
Yeah.
But we actually got more submissions than I thought we would. For this time of the year and a very short submission deadline, it made it a great month. And we've got some great films to talk about this month.
Yeah, we do.
But we've got to get some housekeeping out of the way. I want to tell anybody who's listening what to expect here from IndieEye Film Awards coming up. And of course, right now, you're listening to our monthly December edition, but in a day after we release this podcast, we'll be publishing our annual awards edition for IndieEye Film Awards, where we are going to look at our categories. Well, we already have. We've done this meeting already, but we are awarding for each category a winner from the pool of winners that we've had all year long. So you may have won Best Narrative Short one month. You have now an opportunity to win Narrative Short of the Year. And we will be announcing those winners in the annual awards podcast. So don't miss that. There will be a little bit more we're gonna talk to you about in that podcast as well. And that's all exciting. But what I'm really, really excited about is that a handful of filmmakers and actors were able to speak with me for full interviews about their projects. And those are going to be released as IndieEye Film Awards bonus podcasts. The full-length interview is going to be released. And we'll start releasing those on January 2nd.
Well, that's a lot of content coming out.
It is. And it was almost a lot more because initially when I had this idea and started to reach out to people to ask if they'd be interested in hopping on the phone and having a conversation for the podcast, originally I'm thinking, we'll have some 10-minute conversations and include them in the podcast.
10 minutes.
No way. I can't, I can't keep it that short. These are great conversations with really interesting people. And it's like 1,000 times better than sitting here and listening to me talk about what to do, what not to do. I think it's way more educational for anybody who's listening to hear from these other filmmakers and hear about their experience. And initially, I wanted to talk with everybody. I made a ridiculous list of names that I was going to reach out to. And I decided to start small and see how it goes. And it turns out I got to talk to like 7 people. I think it's 6 or 7 individual interviews. It's way less than I initially anticipated because it took so much time to record and edit and get it ready. But I enjoyed the experience so much, and I think listeners will like it too, that I'm hoping to continue
that format of maybe having people on.
Yeah. Right. And so listen, if I didn't reach out to you personally and try to schedule something, it's not because I didn't think you would be an interesting person to speak with. It's just that we completely ran out of time. And normally, I think we mentioned this before, this time of year, Dre and I try to do nothing. We really try to embrace the spirit of Christmas. We're going like 80 hours a week all year long. We try to just, by mid-December, we really try to do nothing at all. And this year, just professionally, we were inundated with work we were not expecting to have to do. And it really ran up to Christmas, which kept us really busy. And in the meantime, I'm trying to process these interviews and get ready for the double IndieEye podcast. And also, something I'll talk about in just a moment, another podcast that we've started. Because for some reason...
Yeah, you just feel like there's room on the plate.
Like, I don't realize there's 24 hours in a day. Some of that I'm going to have to sleep. But this is so much fun. I really...
Glad you're having fun with it.
Yeah. It's been wonderful to have conversations with other filmmakers.
Well, why don't you tell them a little bit about Take 22?
Take 22, that's right. You may have seen the announcement on our Instagram stories. Dre has helped me launch a podcast of my own called Take 22, a media production podcast, which started a couple of weeks ago. And Take 22 serves as more of a space for me to talk about the things that I'm doing and gives me room to talk about indie filmmaking. It's just a wider and more comfortable area to work in rather than the limited time we have doing IndieEye Film Awards, where we're trying to get through all of these films.
Well, yeah, and we want the focus to be on the filmmakers that submit to us in this podcast. But in your podcast, it's really more of a free flow conversation that you can have about your own job, gear, everything that filmmakers love. And
I do love gear.
I know you do. I'm well aware.
And I get to talk about just what I'm doing with my regular types of jobs, the way I go about things. So it's a ground level type of discussion of being in the trenches of videography or content creation, media production. And it's also giving me an opportunity to kind of drip out a story about how I got started doing this, how it became a full-time job, and how I'm able to do what I do now. So that's Take 22, a media production podcast. If you want to hear me ramble on some more, I will, you can find it on YouTube, you can find it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and of course I'll put a link in the description. And I have one more special announcement to make, but I think I'm going to wait till the end of this podcast.
So stay tuned.
Yeah, teaser. It's just that I don't want to get into it right now. I actually want to try to get to these December films as fast as possible. But before we do that, Dre.
Yes.
We just had Christmas.
We did. My
kidneys are recovering from Christmas Eve. I feel like I have a Christmas hangover. But my favorite part about Christmas, aside from, seeing family.
Honey baked ham.
Okay, there's a lot of things I have to go through. Being inebriated on Christmas Eve, seeing my cousins. There's a lot of things I like about Christmas. But one of the things that are very important are the movies related for Christmas. And I just wanted to pause here and each of us give maybe our top 3 Christmas movies. And I'd love for you to start.
It's
what do you
so
think?
difficult to just pick 3.
Oh, it's impossible.
It is impossible. Okay, but it has to be A Christmas Story, has to be It's a Wonderful Life, and it has to be White Christmas. Those are probably my tops. Like, I cannot not watch those. At some point during the season, absolutely have to watch those. Probably multiple times. Those would be multiple watches. But you got to give some honorable mentions to Elf and Rudolph and the classics.
See, now you're trying to get everything in.
And Hallmark Christmas movies and
Great list. So you said It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, Christmas Story.
A Christmas Story.
And White Christmas.
And White Christmas. Okay. Very
White Christmas minus the choreography scene. I hate that dance.
Okay. Wow.
If anybody knows White Christmas, they'll know that's the dumbest part of the movie. Everything else, 100%.
Well, for me, the holiday movies really start on Thanksgiving because I have to see Planes, Trains, and Automobiles every Thanksgiving. And I'm a big John Hughes fan. I think that film is absolutely perfect. And it really tells me, it sets the mood for me that we're going to be pro-family, pro-holidays for the next 6 weeks.
And it just gives me anxiety.
Yeah. Well, and then, so my top 3 Christmas movies. Well, I think everybody has a Christmas Story ranked high somewhere. And that kind of gained a cult following. It got really popular like 20 years after it was released. But we recorded it on VHS tape, kids, from like HBO or something. And I watched A Christmas Story probably 6 times a day through summer over and over and over because I love Christmas so much. And, I was, 10 years old or whatever, watching this like that. So it's been a long time favorite of mine, but I didn't watch it this year. And I think if I have to make a list about what are my top 3 Christmas movies, number 1 is certainly It's a Wonderful Life.
So classic.
And I generally like to start my Christmas with It's a Wonderful Life, my Christmas season, because I will now be in Bedford Falls. And it is, I don't know, for me, it's like a mental state.
Yeah.
But a close second to me is Miracle on 34th Street. And I'm talking black and white, not the colored version or any modern versions.
Not the one with Matilda.
No. I'm talking 1947, Maureen O'Hara. Give me all of that. I love that film in its 100% original form. And most recently, my father put this onto me, 1951's A Christmas Carol.
Oh, yeah.
And I think now that is in the top 3 for me as a Christmas movie. I absolutely love it. And it's so old-timey. But there's just things to it that I find so fun to see.
Okay, enough about Christmas movies. Let's talk about December movies.
And that's part of the reason I need my own podcast so that people aren't waiting 20 minutes to get to the movies for IndieEye. We've got a few honorable mentions to start with. And the first is called The Conversation. This is directed by Kevin Overton. And the premise here is a prostitute lures a John in with a promise of a good time. Little does he know, she has another idea. This is an honorable mention because I love the work that Kevin did with this. The people that helped him make this film, credit to you guys for putting together something that was very watchable. But Kevin, I'm gonna pick this apart a little bit because number 1, you just told me everything about the film in your overview, so I know there's a twist coming. I'm already expecting it, when I'm watching it. The cinematography. In a lot of times is really beautiful. He's got it. Yep. This is set inside of a bar, and they've got this great red and blue color dynamic going on, which is really beautiful.
Yeah, some of the moving shots are really well done. They really take you from focus on one thing to focus on another. Very smart.
And the actors look good. I mean, it's like all of the elements to be successful are within your grasp here. But here's what I bumped on while watching this. And this is a narrative short. It's actually only about 5 minutes long, which is awesome. What a great target for a short film. Although, Kevin, you added 2.5 minutes of credits to that, so it doesn't look like it's a short film. And if you have a 5-minute film, your credits need to be super fast. Boom, 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 boom. Things linger, those credits linger on the screen too long, or it should be a quick scroll or something like that. But yeah, 2.5 minutes of credits after a 5-minute short, that's just really imbalanced. Imagine if you watched a 90-minute movie and then the credits were 45 minutes long. Now, sometimes with Marvel movies, that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
So that's a little something too. But I had a problem with the level of the dialogue. The actual volume of the dialogue was really low. Even when we start the film with music playing in the bar, which is totally natural, totally normal. And if you're going to crank the music up and have the dialogue at a certain lower level so that we kind of lean in and have to pay attention, I'm on board with that. I love that that was actually done in Social Network between a conversation, and it works really well in my opinion. It's pretty creative because you are forcing the viewer to really pay attention to what's being said. But then shortly after we get our two characters together, that music just goes away. And now this bar becomes the most boring, quiet place, most awkward place to have a conversation ever. And I think when you're shooting in a bar or you're having a set that's a bar, this is an opportunity to create a soundscape underneath everything that's going on, where you should have maybe some pool ball cues being hit, or our bartender is doing things
clinking with
she's not really making noise for the things she's doing. And I just think it's an opportunity to build that atmosphere and add those textures of sound. And at one point in the film, like, everything drops away and you really just have dialogue. You have a little bit of background sound, but it's just the dialogue. And in that, the dialogue's like a little low. And by not taking advantage of that soundscape you can build underneath, it really revealed your shot change, audio change situation. So when a shot changes, the room tone changes. And that's like such an amateur way to do things, because it's so easily avoidable if you capture your room tone and you're layering that under everything. Plus, you're building this soundscape that just sounds like these are the sounds that are going on in the room. You're not subject to that abrupt what am I trying to say? That
the change.
I mean,
the change isn't as abrupt.
If you change from one angle to another and the room tone completely changes, that's just so jarring, pulls anybody out of the film. And you had a great opportunity to not deal with that at all had you built a soundscape underneath it. And I don't want to spend any time spoiling this film, but just for me talking to Kevin, I feel like there could have been a little bit more breadcrumbs leading up to intention and reason for what was about to happen. Or, if the bar goes quiet, maybe we have inserts of somebody ushering people out of the bar, closing the door, maybe kind of give you this feeling like a trap is being set or something's happening that we don't quite know yet. And since I don't want to actually spoil what happens at the end, I have to be very vague about some things. But Kevin, you can always email me, and I'd love to have a conversation with you. hello@IndieEyeFilmAwards.com. And I'd love to have a little bit more dialogue if you felt that you wanted to discuss this further. But I think there are some continuity issues with the more action type scenes that happen. And I just felt like Kevin has a really great idea. He had a fun cast to work with, great little location to shoot it.
Yeah, so cool to have just one secure location.
The lighting's beautiful, shots are beautiful, and it just doesn't quite... I felt like there's more to the storytelling aspect that could have been done here to make it really, really good. So it's definitely an honorable mention for us, and it was in the conversation for many things. And if I was Kevin and part of this team, I'd feel very proud about what they created. It's clear a lot of care and effort was put into making this, but I think this is a great stepping stone for Kevin now to take a look at this particular project and see what can be improved on whatever he's working on next. Which is really what filmmaking is. It's these small steps every time to get better and improve and criticize ourselves about or be more introspective about what we can improve.
Yeah, where we need to grow.
And on that same theme, another honorable mention that we received is 15 Roses, directed by Joe Schufrader. And the premise here is a story about a very successful businessman who struggles with his personal relationships. And I think Joe had a great premise. He had a fun story to tell, but I think ultimately it's a 24-minute short film that should be sub 10 minutes or 12 minutes max. There is so much extra dialogue and space in between
downtime,
in the dialogue that really slows it down. And as a writer, you think, okay, this is probably a first pass of a draft. I mean, ultimately, it's done well. And I think really the standout here is Cassidy Joy. I really enjoyed seeing her performance. I thought she was very dynamic with what she had to work with. She did a lot with. And it's a fairly ambitious story. They're in multiple locations.
A lot of different actors.
And the sound is often fine. There's sometimes where it feels like you're using shotgun mic on the camera
feels
you're
like
using.
Very far away.
But everything feels cared about. Nothing feels neglected. I just think that it's overwritten, which then forces some overacting, and then there's some underacting as well. But again, it's something that Joe should be proud of, and these people who are involved in the film should be proud of, and it definitely earns an honorable mention for December for IndieEye. Then our final honorable mention is The City He Forgets, which was directed by Rahab Maksud. I think I'm saying that right. Now, this is also 24 minutes long, but this is one of those where it felt a little shorter because I think the actors he was able to work with just felt more natural in their performances. And you really can't stop looking at Aisha Patel's eyes, which are gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you have a great looking cast and a really interesting story. And it is dialogue heavy, but it drives the story forward.
It definitely moves it along.
And it's an excellent short film. And Rahab Maksud did a beautiful job. The cinematography is good. The audio is good. The story's good. The actors are great. Sorry, Rahab, you submitted during a month in which we had another monster that we'll talk about later. So right now, The City He Forgets sits with our honorable mentions. You all should be very proud of making this.
Yeah, and thank you for your submissions.
Absolutely. Well, we'll move on to our categories and talk about a doc short that was submitted called Overweight, and this was directed by Alan J. Kreist. And this little doc does a really good job dispelling myths and talking about the stigma that goes along with people who are obese and food choices and nutrition. And, you know, for us, it's a little close to home. One, because, look, I've had a lot of Christmas cookies. Okay? So this wasn't the time for me to be watching this. But
Did you feel attacked?
I felt attacked. And I felt seen. Stop looking. No, but this actually goes along with part of what our regular job is, deals with health nutrition. So I almost felt like I was at work, Alan. Thank you. But it was done very well, has some great information in it. And Overweight by Alan J. Kreist is our best doc short for December of IndieEye Film Awards.
Yay!
And then we were treated to a wonderful feature film called Apache Leap, directed by Christian Rosier. And shout out to cinematographer David Orr, because this film is beautiful. I thought they did a wonderful job, and I'll read the synopsis. Apache artist Keen is forced into a desperate mission to get a job before the deadline passes and his dreams evaporate, all while navigating family stresses, enemies from his past, and an unpredictable old car. And Apache Leap was produced on location in the San Carlos Apache Reservation and the neighboring city of Globe in Arizona. And in his description, Christian mentions the scorching ribbon of highway that connects them. And that just stuck with me. I thought, what a brilliant little line that is, the scorching ribbon of highway. And I'm like, that's awesome.
So poetic.
And he notes that the entire main cast, as well as the majority of production crew members, are comprised of indigenous tribal members, which is cool to see people in this community and with these things in common come together to tell the story. Because, you know, it's a story that can be told, I think with any ethnicity, this man is dealing with practical, real life issues.
Yep.
But the setting that they have is so gorgeous. And man, some of these exterior shots are just really beautiful and fun to watch. And I think David Orr really was key in helping Christian tell this story the way it should be told. And they had a lot of help with this film, which is also very nice. It's nice to have, and it shows.
It really does, yeah.
So all of their socials will be linked over at the IndieEye Film Awards winners page for December, because Apache Leap is the best narrative feature for December.
Yay!
Good job to you guys, and thank you for sharing that film with us. Well, let me pause for this public service announcement, because I need to reiterate something to those who may be listening and submitting to IndieEye. If you are submitting your film to IndieEye for Best Actor or Best Supporting Actor, please indicate in the cover letter who you are nominating specifically for these awards. And this is me trying to be helpful to you in submitting to other film festivals. Speaking to everybody, have a cover letter. Include a cover letter. Make that personal touch. Have social media links. If you've created a film and you're spending money submitting it to film festivals, but you don't care enough to include your Facebook or Instagram or website or whatever's attached to this film, if you're not using social media to try to promote your film, why do I think you're taking this serious and trying to build an audience? Not trying to be harsh, just trying to be honest here, because you're competing with thousands and thousands of other people. I highly recommend that anybody submitting include a cover letter. If you're submitting for a particular category that is for a specific name, mention that in your cover letter, and we ask in our rules that this be done. If you have a cast of 12 people and one of the things you've submitted for is Best Actor, but I don't know who
you want us to really be paying attention to.
Right.
And consider against others.
And look, it's just the business of it as well. If you end up submitting for Best Actor for $10 or whatever the cost is, and you've submitted that for a feature film, so we now have to spend, an hour and a half watching your film to see the performance of an actor that you haven't named. Yeah. I mean, that's not very...
it's not a good use of our time, and it's not, not really a good use of your time or money to submit to our specific film festival.
Absolutely.
And maybe even others if they have similar
That's what I'm most concerned with. I mean, the whole concept behind IndieEye is just to help other filmmakers improve, hear some real feedback. Well, it's not always about the movies. Sometimes it's about your process.
Yeah, your marketing. Mm-hmm.
So I would recommend use the cover letter and give information in your cover letter. It doesn't have to be a long story, a simple paragraph and calling out maybe a Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, whatever, if that's what you're doing. But also take the time to include good images from your film. And then I'm talking about the Film Freeway submission process. You have your own page to build up, and you should be linking your social media and anything that somebody like us can use to help you promote your film. Because we get some submissions and it's like, well, there's nothing for us to share with anybody. And at this time, our podcast doing something like this is kind of a rare stage for your project to be on, where other people are listening and might go check you out or check out the film or want to have an opportunity to see what you've done. And I bring this up because there was a handful of submissions this month where there is no cover letter and people are submitting to Best Actor, but that's like the only category. And if we have to balance submissions like that against other submissions that are thoroughly filled out and engaging, and it seems like these people care about their project, I can't sit here and tell you we treat everything fairly at that point.
Right.
So I'm trying to help you get a leg up in other film festivals.
Or next time you submit a project with us.
Absolutely. That being said, there is only one film from IndieEye in December that we're going to talk about from here out. because they did all the things and they did all the things right. So I'm just letting you know, we've got one more film to talk about. Then I'm going to have a bit of an announcement. And if I've made you mad about anything, I've got something great coming for you. So you may want to stick around and listen to us talk about a little film called Peaches. Directed by Benjamin Hunt, Peaches is based on a true story, and it follows Eliza, the first female member of a local scout troop. Determined to help others, she competes in the troop's canned food drive. However, constrained by poverty, Eliza must decide whether or not to donate her last can of peaches and risk going hungry. Now, Benjamin Hunt is 22 years old.
We hate him at this point. In the best way.
I actually emailed him today.
Did you?
And I told him that, I said, Benjamin, nobody likes people like you. You're 22, brilliant, and have a bright future.
Yeah, he does.
I suggested he get into insurance sales to give the rest of us a chance. But here's what's brilliant about this short film.
Everything.
Fair. It's under 10 minutes long, and it's one of those that felt like it was 3 minutes. Our lead character, Eliza, has 0 dialogue. She says not a word.
She says 0 words.
And yet she says everything, which is a wonderful choice to make and a challenge, I would imagine, in that, well, it just makes everything more complicated. You really have to dial in your cinematography, your production design, your music, the directing. When you can't lean on the crutch that is dialogue and exposition, and there is dialogue in this movie. Other people speak, but the lead doesn't. And this Martha Shaw that plays Eliza is phenomenal.
Yeah.
The camera loves her. The light loves her. This story at its end, without spoiling anything, surprisingly evokes emotion.
Oh my, yeah.
In just 9 minutes, you are invested
absolutely
in this person and her experience. And damn it, if the music and the looks on her face and the lighting doesn't all come together to rip your heart out and put your heart right back in. I mean, this is what movies are supposed to do.
Yep.
And Benjamin Hunt and his team, and I will say he had quite a team.
He had a lot of good help.
Made a absolutely wonderful short film. So much fun to watch. I was really irritated that he got me so emotional at the end of this. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
We don't know these people. But it was really just a sweet, sweet story. And the other characters did exactly what they were supposed to do. They were opposites her. They interacted with her. And you didn't realize until, a little bit further in where it was going. Even, obviously you don't know where it ends, but everybody had a perfect role, played it great, added to the story, did a great job.
And for me, the most interesting thing is that there are plenty of opportunities in this story to be very cliche, to do the things that are expected. And Benjamin makes choices that lead away from that every time. And that's when I get really invested, because I'm like, I really don't know what you're going to do next.
Yeah.
I think it just takes the right turns at the right time, and you're not expecting it to play out the way it does, which just adds to it. And I want to give a shout out to Charlie's son and Charlie Posey, who are responsible for the music and the sound design, because when you're dealing with a short film where a lead doesn't say a word, a lot of the storytelling falls on the soundscape of the film. And the cues are all just perfect. And I'd have to mention Ariel Becker as the editor, because cuts were perfect.
Oh gosh, they were the transitions were so good, and the places where there's the right cuts and the right feels, and it's so good.
And Mimi Gaudet's production design and costume design. I mean, everyone. This is a film where everyone's doing things that they're very good at
Yes.
and creating something together. And don't we wish we always had these types of resources and people who are really good at these filmmaking specific jobs? And thankfully, Benjamin was able to work with these people. And I'd love to know where he found this Martha Shaw, because she is so good. You know, you have talent when you don't have to say one word to star in a film, huh?
What was the audition like?
Yeah. Can you just sit there and be quiet? Good job. But
Act adopted.
but no, and it's, you don't even realize she doesn't say anything for quite a while.
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
movie. You realize, oh wait,
She hasn't
a
said
word.
anything.
It's like watching There Will Be Blood, and you realize 20 minutes has gone by and no one said anything, but you've been watching this epic movie. She is just spectacular. The way she uses the emotions through her face is just wonderful. And I hope we get to see her in other things as well. And I think we will absolutely be seeing Benjamin Hunt again, as we'll be watching his career with great interest. And it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone that Peaches is our best narrative short for December of IndieEye Film Awards.
Yay.
But wait, there's more. Scott Larson, the director of photography for Peaches, seems to be personally responsible for best cinematography for Peaches.
Yay.
And I really couldn't talk enough about Charlie Sun and Charlie Posey creating the soundscape for this film, and they absolutely have won Best Original Music, Song, or Score for December.
Yay.
Oh, I guess that's it. Oh, no, there's more.
There's still more.
Martha Shaw is our best actor as Eliza in Peaches.
Yay.
And you probably didn't see this coming, but Benjamin Hunt, you are our best director for December of the IndieEye Film Awards.
Yay.
Really had a good time watching this. We're linking their socials. See, people, they have social medias we can
Link to.
link to. And I was able to watch this on a certain platform, and I don't know that Benjamin is making this public yet. I don't think we can share it. So I don't know how you'd be able to see this film, and I think everybody should drop whatever you're doing right now and go spend 10 minutes watching Peaches, but I don't know that it's available publicly.
Yeah, just give him a follow and follow the lifespan of this movie. It might still be in a festival run, but
I'm sure it is. And take advantage of following Benjamin Hunt and his team and try to watch Peaches as soon as they make it publicly available. There's so much to learn. It's a masterclass in short filmmaking. Just wonderful job. And thank you, everybody, for submitting here for December. There was less of a selection because of our short deadline, and I'm sure there's just probably less to submit in December. But we had some really good submissions, and I was so appreciative that so much work was put into all of these things that we got to watch and talk about. And there will be more movie talk in our annual awards podcast, which will release on December 29th. And don't forget about the bonus podcasts that are coming starting January 2nd with full interviews with some of the directors and actors of people who've been involved with IndieEye Film Awards this year. And again, I highly recommend you listen to hear about their experiences and what they have learned in their filmmaking journey. And of course, don't forget to check out Take 22, a media production podcast, if you want to hear me ramble more about what type of gear I got for Christmas, how I started filmmaking when I was young. And there will be way more talk on Take 22 about what I'm going to tell you next. Because if you've waited through this entire podcast...
Oh my gosh, I've been waiting this whole time.
Oh my gosh.
The suspense. It's killing me.
I'm really going to let everyone down now.
Oh, it's really exciting.
So I've been teasing this for quite some time, and if you've already been listening to Take 22, or maybe you follow me personally on Instagram, you might have already seen that I directed and released a film called Madison Baker Was Here. It is now available on Amazon Prime Direct Video. It is a film that on its surface is very much about the impact of friendship as it follows the titular character, Madison Baker, and her 3 closest friends on a night out on the town where they sneak out as it is Madison Baker's last night living in this town. And this is a film I wrote. It's very personal to me, and I get more into that over on Take 22, or I will be. I'll also be featuring some of the actors from the film as they're coming on and having discussions with me about their experience. And I'm going to get a lot more into the behind-the-scenes stuff of the writing, the pre-production, the actual production, the times we had to deal with police.
And frogs. Or pond creatures.
All sorts of obstacles that we run into as filmmakers, but even the complications of COVID hitting and festivals shutting down, and going through the editing process by myself, and then finally submitting to Amazon and having a way for people to watch when my entire business plan was destroyed by a year of ridiculousness. But it's a story I love. I'm so proud of the girls involved and the people involved that helped me make this film and tell this story. But my thing is, I wanted to let everybody from IndieEye know that you can check out this film, and then if you want to blast me with criticism, feel free. Write reviews, email me at hello@IndieEyeFilmAwards.com, and you have a chance to serve me back a little medicine of my own. You can also go to MadisonBakerWasHereMovie.com, and I'll link that in the description below. And on there, I have some behind-the-scenes videos. I have our Indiegogo crowdfunding videos, and I've shared those with people who are looking for help on how to crowdsource and what type of video they should be making to do that. The trailer's on YouTube. It's at the website. And if you want to get really deep into it, you can go to Gray, Gray, familyfilms.com, click on the Mentality Films tab, and go to the A Special Place page. A Special Place is a short film I got to shoot in 2014, and it stars one of the actors in Madison Baker Was Here. It actually stars 2 of the actors are in A Special Place that also appear in Madison Baker Was Here. So you can see them 5 years younger, playing completely different characters. And A Special Place was like my first real short film that I tried to make good. And it was like the second thing I ever shot with my GH4 at the time, super low budget. And I think, I call it a short film, but it runs like 30 minutes long. This is how I learned not to make 30-minute long short films. And while we had a pretty good festival run, it was just something that I learned that you probably shouldn't do. But A Special Place is fun. It's a little supernatural thriller. It's fairly wholesome. There is a dark turn, but it's such a fun memory. So if you want to see someone just trying to start and make short films, 2014's A Special Place can be found at the Mentality Films tab at grayfamilyfilms.com, where you can watch it for free. There's a bloopers video, there's a meet the cast video, but there'll be a lot more talk about that over on Take 22. And I'll put links to all this nonsense in the description for this video.
The main takeaway here is Madison Baker Was Here is on Amazon Prime to rent or buy so that you can watch Matt's film.
Thank you, agent. Okay, well, that wraps up our December edition of the IndieEye Film Awards.
Thank you so much, everybody that submitted this month. And we're excited to talk more about all of our annual winners in our next podcast,
which is really soon.
Yes, it is.
If you'd like your project discussed on the podcast, go to IndieEyeFilmAwards.com and submit to our open monthly competition. Find us on Instagram and YouTube, IndieEye Film Awards. Thanks for listening to this episode of IndieEye.